Hello degenerates, welcome back. Finally, we have the last video when it comes to treasures for this new patch. After we test more in a couple days, I'll make the updated priority, but more or less is clear at the moment. That said, let's talk a little bit about Phantom. By the way, on PC, look at this. Where is the ass? Shift up. Where is the ass? I wanted that background only for the ass. Still, she's pretty cute. That's it. Let's talk a little bit about Phantom and what's going on. So a quick TLDR for those who don't remember. When Phantom came out, she had a couple issues. First of all, her skill 1 was kind of annoying to sustain the stacks because you were having to switch consistently between mobs, enemies, etc. to apply more of your stacks. And then distribute damage. When she came out, there were not that many characters that were good or that many teams available for that. Even to this day, that is going to be her biggest downside. That is one team where you can fully take her out and actually take advantage of her kit and what she provides, right? Which is on the mates. And then lastly is that water has always been kind of a stacked element. Not when she came out, but even right now, like if we talk about water characters, there is so many good units that it is hard justifying bringing almost anyone, right? Because between your Snow White and your Doro, then you have your Privat in your Helm, then you have your really good buffers, your Quincy in there, like your Breedy for the distribute damage team. There is a lot of nice characters in here. Breedy is still a better damage dealer than even the Phantom Treasure. I might be either moving Breedy up or moving Quincy down and putting Phantom as well in T3. They both feel like a T3 at the moment. They are nice characters, but they are not characters you are going to be using on Team 1, Team 2 by any means. Now, that's it. Let's talk a little bit about this. So, her skill 1 is going to be changing her stacks and how it works, and now it's going to be a lot easier to keep the Thief Dagger and actually be able to sustain your buffs. That is pretty nice. Her skill 2 is, for the most part, going to be more damage, distribute damage buffs, and also more damage overall here, plus the selfish buffs with attack and more distribute. And then her burst, same thing, okay? It's more damage with also the damage taken, which is always welcome. We were talking about this already, but remember that any damage taken is always welcome. Like every single time is always welcome. So now we have only going from just doing distribute damage to also doing damage taken and increasing your own ammunition capacity. So she is a pretty nice character. Her build is already on the website if you guys are interested. She feels like a... So I would not go past 777 on her unless you are a water main and you really like her. You could be going a skill 1 and skill 2 to level 10, but it feels omega expensive like usual, right? Like even Laplace feels expensive and hard to justify investing unless it's 1% banners or really meta supports like the idols. It's hard to go past level 7 on most characters, right? What can we do? What can we do, boys? Shift Up needs to give us more resources. That said, with this increase in her kit and her own damage plus the damage taken, she has become a pretty nice water, not only DPS, but also support. Just like a lot of the water characters we already have. She has become yet another character that can be used as a DPS slash support, like your Helm, like your Privati, like your Ludmilla, your Elec, another character that will be joining those ranks. Now, for damage number comparisons, we can be showing a few of them. Like I said, when it comes to the gear and the skill, it's a pretty basic build. There is nothing when it comes to Phantom, at least if we're talking on how to properly build her, there is nothing that's really interesting, okay? It is going to still be a really basic DPS. With her treasure and without her treasure, nothing really changes. Like literally, it is still the same thing. A couple of things that have changed, like we were saying earlier, is that you do not have to play Osu anymore, but it is still welcome to be easier to sustain everything she has to offer. Second is that now you have a huge utility on her boost thanks to damage taken debuff, which, just like Rosanna, it's 30 seconds. This means you will be able to sustain this no problem. And it's still 30 seconds to the max level, but it goes from 15 to 18%, right? So really good, 30 seconds. Depends on your team and your composition, but for the most part, should be practically 100% uptime. And now you finally have two proper DPSs for the distribute damage team in here. This means that you could be, instead of, for example, what we were doing earlier was running Breedy with characters like Liberali or things like that. Oh, is it reset right now? Oh, 10 minutes ago. I was just idling on the screen, okay. So what you could be running now with your mates, whatever B1 you plan on running, you could be putting both of your mates in here. And now your 2B3s for water could be on this team, specifically your Breedy and your Phantom, because you have damage taken debuff and your Breedy as main damage dealer who will benefit also from that. Problem, this is also taking your mates slot on water, and there is so many good characters that can benefit from mates. It's not a huge problem because, again, nowadays there is plenty of B2s and B1s to be running on most of your teams, but it is fine. That is gonna be basically her best team just because of the distribute damage and the mates themselves. Other characters that I would run, honestly, not that many. I do love Phantom, but it feels like her biggest issue will be, if we're talking about Elysian specifically, B3s for tower. There are a bunch of good options. I don't think I would be running Phantom in tower unless it's water weak, and at that point, if it's only for a QTE, you are still better off running Rappi on neutral and Helm and Privacy for QTEs if you need to, right? So, I don't know, for tower she can be used. For raids, I can see her 100% use, no problem, for water mains. But I would not focus on her first. I would give priority to both Flora and also Sugar. Sugar has been fantastic. If you guys watched the previous video, she's doing really good, and it's now a double element character, which is welcome. Now, let's go back to the numbers here and stop yapping about that so we can see what's going on. This is a Phantom that it's MLB, 777, 5 on the overload gear, level 0 on the boots, 80% elemental, 20% attack, and then only Helm here as a reference, doesn't really matter, we only care about the other DPSs, but it's still a nice reference. Same elemental, almost same attack, right? And then this is a core 7 Helm, 10-10-10, so big difference, right? Now, Tarsis actually went and recorded every single step. So shooting range with a Crown, Siren, and a Privacy and Helm. And as you guys can see, SR15 before her treasure, 4.7 versus 7.9. Then he did the phase 1 treasure, and from 4.7, she went to 5.5, already a pretty good increase. And then on phase 2, she went to 6.7, which was a pretty big increase. And then lastly, the phase 3, we go right here, she went to 7.4. So technically she went from 4.7 without her treasure to a phase 3 doing 7.4 billion. And as you guys can see, the first order just reverted there. So pretty nice damage. That is, however, shooting range. How is she faring when we talk actually about running her on a proper boss, be it Harvester or be it Blacksmith on Museum? I like her. It's not, obviously, it's not going to be I feel a lot of people have this mentality that if a character cannot surpass the best DPS in a slot for an element, she's bad, right? When the reality is that most of these units will never compete with the Pilgrims, okay? Never. Most of them, like 99% of non-1% banners, will have the same fate. Phantom is the same as Marciana, as a 2%, the same as Arc Ranger, the same as Laplace. Good units that you can use on your element. Harvester, full clear with Crown, Anis, Helm healing, 2.4 on Snow White, 1.2 on Phantom. I had better results when I was running my own Harvester testing with Sugar. Sugar was doing quite a bit more damage. And then I switched to Blacksmith to a distribute damage team to see if she was going to be increasing. But I'm 1.2 on a Crown Helm team going to mates, doing a 2.1 now on a 3-minute fight right here, in contrast to a almost a 5 billion Snow White. Ignore this Snow White because I missed a couple shots. I did miss a couple shots, but also something important is that even though she is doing the same damage as Quincy, the biggest difference is that not only she's a DPS, but she's buffing your Snow White damage or your main damage dealer, whoever it is. Even if you put Breedy, she will be buffing Breedy damage quite a bit as well. And that is the biggest advantage that Phantom has over someone like Quincy, over someone like even who could be like another water DPS. I don't think there's like many other B3 water DPSs we currently run that have that limitation, no? I do like Phantom. I think that with her treasure, I can see her at T3, T2, no problem. I think she's better than Quincy for the damage taken. Damage taken is such a great utility, like such a great utility actually. So 100% T3, T2 character, really nice. Her burst saves her kit for the most part. In my opinion, if she didn't have that last line of damage taken, she would be a lot more useless as an upgrade. So far, I'm feeling like this batch was pretty nice. It was decent. It was not Private Moran levels of good, but it was nice. I think, like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, that Flora and Sugar have priority, but I wouldn't even start with them. I think still Private and Moran take priority over almost every other treasure. And then if it's Flora versus someone like Helm, it heavily depends on your account. If you're a new player without burst 2 characters, I would focus first on Helm because you cannot make use of Flora. If you already have a good B2 to carry you, then you can focus on Flora because you can run them together, no problem, right? So I'll make a separate video going over the priority at the moment and what I will be focusing on tomorrow after more testing. That said, I'm gonna go to bed, guys. I haven't even done dailies. I'm not gonna be doing dailies today. I'm gonna go pass out and then have a copious amount of coffee tomorrow to keep testing. That's it. I'm out. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Love you all. Good luck with your pool dinner dates. And I'll see you on the next one.